Bro, I get hung up on something. All right, and in 3, 2, 1, we are live. What's going on, Print Fam? It's your boy Cam, and y'all know what to do. I asked you in the chat earlier. Let me know if our levels are cool once the actual thing gets started. But we're just gonna get right into it right after my very special intro in 3, 2, 1. And I can't hear it, and it's not. It's not working. Hang on, guys. Well, how about this? We're just going to skip the intro today. What's going on, Print Fam? It's your boy Cam. Welcome back to another episode of the Print Life Live video podcast. Y'all know that we've been changing the format. We are officially stepped away from me babbling at the camera, and I'm bringing guests in, and we're learning and extracting as much information from them as we possibly can. Today's guest is a special one. I didn't know if I'd be able to get him on, and I asked him, and he graciously agreed to show up. So let me give you a little background on the man, and we'll see if you guys can guess who it is. Actually, I said it in the title, so that's not going to matter. Today's guest has spent years in the print industry. He actually started with a small shop in the 70s, and he eventually grew into the full automation thing. Shortly after that, he sold the business, but not one to rest on his laurels, he decided to move into publishing. And he published, what I consider and many others consider the Bible of the print industry, which is T-shirt printing for fun and profits. I probably butchered that title a little bit, but he's been running with it for a long time, and it really is the Bible to the industry. He's also responsible for starting the U.S. Screen Printing Institute. And maybe some of you are familiar, especially pre-YouTube. This was the way that you educated yourself, especially if you were a newbie to the industry or anything like that. It was the educational program. So he's done so many things. Let's give a big round of applause to Mr. Scott Fresener. Welcome, my friend.
Hey, good to talk to you guys.
Thank you so much.
You caught me at a good time. I was in Washington, D.C. for the last 2 weeks. I was at the ISS Atlantic City doing some seminars, and I took 4 days of R&R. And I decided that when you're in Washington, D.C., no matter what you think about who's in the White House, it's temporary because the history is there. So it really helped me with my political views, thinking, okay, you can love it or hate it, but it's a short-term job.
Love it or hate it, yeah.
Yeah. And so we had a good time there. But I'm back in sunny Arizona, like you, and it's 85 today.
Yeah, you live here, right? You're a Phoenix native. This is your hometown.
I lived in Scottsdale most of my adult life. I'm from Iowa, but I moved out here at 12 years old, so I don't think I'm really from Iowa, but I'm a Scottsdale boy. Although I'm living in Mesa right now, which is, I'm not a big fan of Mesa.
So you're not an Iowa. Are you a mountain boy? Were you raised in the cold weather, and then you came out here and somehow adjusted to the heat, or?
Yeah, I was only 12 years old. So
I can't do the cold no more, dude, but I'm from the cold climates, too.
Where are you from?
I'm from Pine Top, up north.
Oh, you're still an Arizona boy.
Yeah, I'm an Arizona boy, but I'm from the colder climates, dude. I still haven't fully adjusted. Now, I was hoping that this chat would be live here, but I don't have my chat live here. Give me 1 second, Scott. I'm gonna remove something from here because it's just not working. Everybody, how are? Yep, they're saying the sound is good. We both got good levels, so I finally figured that out. If you don't know, man, I've had some serious technical difficulties trying to make this
I get it. I've done these shows before.
You know.
Crap.
Yeah.
My wife comes into the room and goes, "No, you're not live." We thought we were.
Right on, man. But yeah, so I just want to get right into it. So, I gave a little bit of an intro to you and all that kind of, and it's actually, as a matter of fact, I just wanted to show you here. I have got, if you can see it too because you're seeing me in Skype. This is the original T-shirt printing for fun and profits. Now this is the original paperback here, and it fell apart, but I have literally got it in these little sleeves, bro. This has been my Bible since as long as I can remember.
Oh my God.
So it's so cool to me, bro.
That's very cool.
When people still printed stuff on paper. So cool. But yeah, I just wanted to show you that. I got my Bible right here. So
I couldn't give books away though. It's changed.
Yeah, you can't give them away now.
Years ago, if I'd meet somebody at a show and then we'd talk, they would always say, "I learned from your book." Now they'll be talking and they won't say anything. I'll go, "How'd you learn?" YouTube.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. It's an interesting world that you used to have to publish. Now everything's on YouTube.
On YouTube, yeah.
But you had a cultivated series of information that was almost vetted, whereas I feel like in the YouTube community you can have a lot of misinformation. I'm guilty of it sometimes as well. It's not as cultivated and like backed up by research, the information you get on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, so it's pretty good. I mean, I find that, I'm doing online courses. That's a cheap plug, but I discovered that people will go to an online course and pay from someone they know, and where they can go back and review as opposed to watching a random YouTube video. So that's a whole little industry that's kind of out there where the YouTube is free, but this whole online course thing is now a huge deal where people pay a few dollars just to see who they know. But But the book is out of print now. I mean, I did an ebook version, and I couldn't give books away. We would sell 4,000 or 5,000 copies a year.
Yeah.
On the good years, we would sell 10,000 copies. That means that's about $30,000, $40,000 tied up in publishing costs. And we decided we couldn't do it. Amazon sold, I think, 200 copies last year. So I'm giving it away now as an ebook. It's free. Go to my t-biznetwork.com website, and it's a free download.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
cool,
man.
If they're going to buy it, I'm going to give it to them.
There you
go. I'm going to throw a few commercials in there, too. So anybody watching, I'm going to leave that up for the next few weeks. Awesome. My book it's got 40 embedded videos, and it's free.
Cool. Very cool. Well, thank you. So I guess, before we dive into your history and stuff, just for people that aren't familiar with you, most people in this industry are, but some aren't. But before we dive into that, I kind of just want to know, so that everyone else that's listening is aware, what you consider today in 2019 your specialty is, or just where you're spending most of your time and how you contribute to this community and things like that.
To me, as you know, because you're an active printer, that it all starts with the artwork, and somebody walks in with a cell phone picture of that thing they designed on custom ink that they want you to then reproduce and color separate. And so, my company, US Screen, went out of business 10 years ago, almost to the day. And I've spent the last 10 years doing color separations and selling my software and trying to do pre-press stuff, because it all starts there. I always felt from my training classes, you could teach someone to pull a squeegee, although some people don't ever get it. But in general, you could teach somebody to pull a squeegee. You could teach them to load a shirt. But their hang-up is always going to be the art end, where somebody walks in and says, can you do this? And it's going to be the separations. Okay. And so I do probably 1,000 steps a year now. I mean, I sit at Photoshop all day long. It kills me because I'd like to have a life.
That's cool.
But that's the hard part. My day starts with somebody who gets a piece of crap JPEG that somebody sends them, and that's all they've got. That. Yeah. You say, is there better artwork? And they go, well, that's all I got.
Wow.
And my day is in separating that and making them look like they're a good printer.
So you not only do you offer, I know, some really incredible like Photoshop plugins, but you're physically a pre-press guy. You're an art seps guy.
Yeah, it's the way to make a living.
Okay, well, that's beautiful, man.
I felt like an attorney, billable hours. I sit here all day long, and I charge $75 for SEPs. Some of them I make money on, some I lose money on.
Well, cool, man. I think that's going to kind of guide the conversation. Maybe not somewhere that I was planning on going, but we'll go into that. But before we do that, I guess I do want to know within the industry, what was the thing that kind of got you into it? What launched you into screen printing in the 70s, as far as I know, right?
Yeah, I'm a product of the 60s.
Oh, 60s.
I started in the 70s.
All right.
Well, what's not in my bio, and because I'm getting older, I don't really care what people know, but my bio, of course, says I started in 1969. That's true. What it doesn't say was that before that, I was in a rock and roll band. And I still play. I told you privately that I'm still playing.
We got a rocker on.
I may toss out what I'm doing later.
Cool.
But I had a recording studio, and I was making 8-track bootleg tapes. So I was bootlegging a few tapes, a few. Yeah. And I traded 8-track tapes for a heat press and heat transfers, because I was selling tapes to a guy that was working carnivals. That was my first exposure to T-shirts. And I thought, I need to get out of this business that's semi-illegal and get into a legal business. Unbeknownst to me, that 2 years later, when I was a screen printer, I was doing Mickey Mouse and you name it. So I went from a bootlegging business to I'm not the only bootlegger. Charlie Toddley, my good buddy, he started off as a bootlegging a few shirts too. We all have our sordid past. So, anyway.
Yeah, man. Well, that's cool. And then so that just kind of got you launched into it. But in the early days, I don't know, man, if the banks were more liberal at that time, if you used your own money, how did you get started and actually start acquiring equipment and printing?
I started with my own money, and so that's what I was hoping to share to a lot of your followers or startups, that I started with no money. I built all my own equipment, and when you buy my book, you see plans for stuff that I built in my garage. And Mom was always very handy with that, so I built my own equipment, my own money, and then there was no shirt wholesalers. When you bought shirts, you bought from what's called a dry goods company that sold blankets and sheets and kids' shoes, and the shirts were often individually packaged. So you get 1,000 shirts in individually polybagged because they're BVDs for retail sale, and it was a whole different thing. There weren't the alphas and all those guys out there. It was a whole different time.
Yeah.
So I worked out of my garage, and I was running 3 shifts. Employees were coming to my garage, and finally the city of Scottsdale came by and go, you can't be doing this.
Nice.
And so I rented a building, and I discovered, though, the minute you have a building and a storefront, I think you feel better about your company. You feel sexier, and you feel like you can have people come by and see your place. And my business quadrupled in a matter of months. And so, to me, there's a lot of guys out there that are garage-based, working a day job, and I get it, and don't quit your day job. But eventually, you're going to want to get a building. And when you get that first building, it's like all of a sudden you hang your shingle out there, and you have your little showroom, and people come in, and your business will take off, I think. This mine did, anyway.
Yeah, that's a really good. I feel like that's a really good tip. Whoa, I'm freezing up on you here, I think. In that era too, like it was if you were gonna, I guess it was the Google listing of the time, but you were doing yellow page ads and things like that. Did you?
Oh yeah.
Were those kind of things beneficial at that time? And in your opinion, what is the yellow page of today, and how can people utilize it to get business into their shop?
It's the Google, it's the Facebook. I mean, the social media marketing. My problem is that you give me a new guy or somebody that's maybe younger that is into Facebook and Google. They don't understand that traditional selling, that FaceTime, when you talk to somebody. If someone goes to your webpage and they look at your whatever you've got, your tchotchke going on, if they aren't happy, they'll never call you and tell you. But if you're talking to somebody personally, one-on-one, and they say, well, I'm buying from somebody else, I'm real happy with that guy, at least you know what the objection is. And to me, traditional selling is a lost art. And so back then it was yellow pages. Everybody went to the book. Now they go to Google and type in a quick search, T-shirts in Podunk, Iowa, and they see who's selling shirts.
Yeah.
And so in those days, though, I got out and made calls. I was the guy that wasn't afraid to get out and make a call. Back then, we only had 2 presses. You had either a Vastex or a Richardson. There wasn't all these presses everywhere.
So
there was a very limited.
You're pre-M&R and all that.
Oh yeah,
that era.
Oh way. Because Rich Hoffman worked for Advanced Process, and getting the advanced catalog was like getting your Uline catalog, but you really wanted to read what was in it. Every 6 months you get the advanced catalog, and it was like, holy crap, look at all this stuff we can get from this company in Chicago.
Wow.
So yeah, I saw the industries from where there was nothing. It was just no wholesalers, and then it all changed though when the Impression Show started in 1978. That changed it all. Then we had a trade show. We had a place to go, and all of a sudden people kind of looked up, and the Haneses of the world making underwear are kind of going, wow, we need to kind of make these things called blank shirts more available to people.
Yeah.
But it was really the start of the whole thing was the ISS show in 1978.
That's awesome. Well, I want to actually dive into it a little bit more, because you mentioned something there, and I don't know, it kind of sparks me thinking in regards to the lost art of selling personally. So I don't want to dive into that so much as, I mean, I've relied heavily on my website and really trying to make my landing page convert, right, to the best of my ability. However, do you believe, or do you have maybe an instinct on how maybe we as printers should be handling that whole flow differently, or maybe trying to?
No, but I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that people need to learn those terms. I use the term landing page, which is very trendy, and I think the average guy who maybe has worked a day job and maybe he's come from a blue-collar background, never owned his own business, he gets into this business and goes, now what do I do? He doesn't know what to do for a website. He doesn't know where to go, he probably doesn't even know about Wix or, he doesn't know any of that stuff. And then he sees all these terms, SEO and landing page, and I think that people need to get up to speed on that, frankly. But you're right, because if your page doesn't convert, like I say, you don't have that FaceTime.
Yeah.
And so somebody goes there and they look at it and go, oh, this is a cool guy. Maybe I'll pick up the phone and call him.
Yeah.
But maybe not. So you have to find ways to get what's called a call to action. You have to give them a reason to call you, whether it be whatever. I don't know what, but give them some sort of call to action.
Have you thought of that? Is there any ideas maybe that even you haven't implemented, but you think could be a call to action? Because I struggle with it as a printer and a small printer that doesn't have a lot of staff to handle the volume of phone calls and stuff. So I don't necessarily want them all calling me, but I am aware that talking to a person, it's like 60 to 70% more likely to get a client if I talk to them. Yeah. Is there anything that you have thought of from a web page point of view that might help have them call you, or that might
For a T-shirt printer, I probably haven't, and I should, because my son Michael has a brick and mortar store in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and Mike and I talk every day. And he's a struggling small printer, 6-color manual press.
Yeah.
But in Bowling Green, actually, I ran ads for Mike in the little local papers. People still do take the paper. They still have a guy that brings a newspaper every day in small towns.
Yeah.
And that little tiny ad that probably cost him $20 a week. More people called from that. That's traditional. Forget Google. That's very traditional. Because a lot of guys let's say Bowling Green, drive around Bowling Green. What do you see? A lot of yard guys, yard services. Mm-hmm. Those guys probably haven't got a website. Some of them don't even probably use email too often. I'm not talking down to them, but how do you find those guys? Those guys that maybe wouldn't think to do a Google search, and they haven't got that Yellow Pages anymore to look into.
Yeah, I mean they probably rely on the bulletin board at their local Chamber of Commerce and shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, with a little tear-off strip with your phone number on it. I used to take my grandkids to a place called Ralphie's. It was a roller skating rink, and all this, the whole bulletin board had all of these things just like that, the little tear-off. But it's very traditional, in your face. But you got to find a way. In my case, I give a free trial of my software so I can somehow grab their name. People that know me know that I am the email junkie. I'm gonna grab your name. Anyone that's watching this that sends me an email, that goes into what's called fresh meat, basically, in my folder.
You literally call it fresh meat?
Oh my God. Every day I'm dragging. Here's a guy that said, "Hey, Scott, how do you do this?" "Oh, here's how you do it. Fresh meat." It goes on my mailing. Because I'm a big fan of email marketing. I think you've got to somehow be able to connect with these guys,
I mean, it's safe to say you were probably kind of the pioneer of that within this industry, right? Like you kind of got your teeth in on that concept early on and really ran
I was
with
early.
it.
I was doing email blasts way before anybody. I was doing fax blasts, and when we had fax machines, I could it was fax blast services, and you could put in a piece of paper and tell the service to fax it to 1,000 businesses in your area. Now, that's all email now, but it's to me, you gotta make that contact, but you got to give them a call to action, though, which is somehow either today we're having a special baker's dozen for a T-shirt guy, 13 shirts for the price of 12, little things like that, because it's called a call to action. And a good sales guy that I hired years ago, I didn't really know the term, told me, here's the term, it's called a call to action, and you got to give them a call to action.
So I'm just going to reiterate that because I think that's a good piece of advice. So if you're designing a layout on your homepage, or what you might call a landing page or a sales funnel, the call to action is the most important thing. So do you feel that a lot of websites don't get this right, and like you said, they may just scare the customer away and you never even had the opportunity to convert them?
So a lot of them don't. I check them out. A lot of them don't have any way to sign up for a newsletter, get our monthly specials. You grab that email, fresh meat, and a lot of them don't have any of that. They just kind of, here we are, here's what we do, thank you very much, call me if you want to. And that's so anti how I would do it, and anti probably how you would do it too.
Yeah. So you heard it from Scott. You got to get you a fresh meat folder going on.
That's it.
That's what it is.
Then you got to be consistent.
I love that.
You've got services like eye contact, and like I use it. I use active something, active campaign.
Yeah.
You got who's the one everybody uses?
MailChimp.
MailChimp. You got that, where you start just saving names and collecting names, and then every month you do a mailing with a soft sell, though. A call to action, but here's a promotion. Here's what we just did. We just did 1,000 shirts for a local company. We did a benefit. It's all relationships.
Do you think that in 2019 that mailing lists and email campaigns are still relevant and effective? Are they, in your experience?
I do, but I worry that maybe they're becoming less as people get just overloaded with mail every day.
I mean, I know I'm just literally, even as we speak, trying to figure out how to completely remove the email process from my workflow, right? Because it starts to feel like Twitter. It starts to just feel like a dumping ground for information, and
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's hard to say. But
Well, you know, but there's even traditional postcard mailings. I mean, I still get stuff in my mail from the local dry cleaner, and I mean, there's some of that traditional stuff that people have forgotten about. Where you go to Vistaprint, you buy a couple thousand postcards, you go to a mailing service, you've got your fresh meat, where hopefully you've grabbed their address, possibly,
yeah.
you know, not just their email. And I did traditional mailings for my son in Bowling Green, and that was really good because you get the people, and it's right there, full color, you know.
I would wager, actually, I think there was a time when it fell off, but I would wager it's more effective now than it has ever been, because
Yeah.
it's because you're no longer getting just inundated with like junk mail and crap, right? People have kind of died off and gone paperless, so it could be a way to stand out with mailers these days.
I think it is. I was always a big fan of catalog, but that's the thing of the past now.
Yeah,
But
the
when I go to a
catalogs.
trade show, I'd print 20,000 catalogs and take them to a show.
Well, and
Yeah.
I think another loss, and I know that there are industry salespeople that do knock doors and cold call and this and that, but I think that that's probably another thing that a smaller company could definitely do, right? And it would be more effective in today's day and age, like cold calling or actually showing up at the door and soliciting.
Well, you've got industrial parks everywhere. You just drive around down the street.
Yeah.
To me, you've got a customer, 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 but you have to have the guts. A lot of small printers don't. They're afraid of the rejection. They're afraid to walk in and have somebody say, "Well, I'm buying from somebody else." Well, that's okay. That guy's already buying shirts. He's already been through the foreplay of buying a shirt in colors and sizes, and now he could be a potential customer. And so you just have to be gutsy and just do it, I think.
That's a really good advice. It seems like within this industry, even me, man, when I'm talking to people like yourself who are experts in the industry of all different avenues, that never comes up. Well, specifically the sales side of things, right?
Yeah.
That's probably great
Well,
advice for anybody to get the guts and go out there and start learning sales tactics and closes and how to do all those kind of things. Yeah.
I think it's a lost art still though, and I think that for somebody to walk into your door again, I shouldn't probably pick on Bowling Green, Kentucky, you know, a little 60,000 piece, but
Hey, get them.
But I worked with my son for a year and a half in a small little shop, and every day somebody walked in our door, whether it be selling a little local thing, it would be given out like a little flyer, lawn services every day, because small communities still get that cold call,
Right?
at least relationship building, at least get your card out there.
Right, and I think too, when you're doing these door-to-door calls, you don't have to be the pushy salesman and try to get the sale that day. You're just building a relationship, right?
That's it. Yeah, I think I had a good friend named Jeff Solomon. Jeff's real active in the promotional products, but he told me when he was an active printer, he had a coffee cup that had his name on it, All American Marketing or whatever it was. He put a little bag of coffee grounds in it, a bag. He would walk in with his flyer and say, "I just want to say hi. I'm going to leave this for you." Totally not selling shirts. If you need any imprint and sportswear, call me. You know, but it's he said people would call him and say, "You're the guy that left me coffee." It was one of those things that people remembered that he walked in, he gave them something.
Yeah.
I'm just giving an idea that it wasn't my idea, but to me, that's relationships. You got to get that people thinking, "Oh, that's a nice guy.
That's clever.
He brought us coffee."
Yeah.
Just
I love it, man. God, the information is just flowing, bro. Well, I do. I loved talking about salesmanship and stuff with you, but I think with this, I did want to talk to you because it's a topic with a lot of smaller shops that are considering making that next jump. And I know that you've done it, and you also went further and actually sold the thing that you did it with. But I wanted to just get your input, maybe get some advice, get some of the pitfalls to watch out for when a shop is doing their $250K a year on their manual press, and they're kind of getting ready to push. They want to push.
Yeah.
I don't really know where to start. I don't know what the first question to ask, but I just kind of wanted to have you kind of go for it.
Well, if you know me, and I think because you know of me, and we've talked, but I'm the guy that just says, just friggin' do it. But that gets you in trouble.
Sometimes.
So I would be always the guy that would go to my wife and say, because she always handled the money,
Yeah.
smartly.
Good.
I'd go and say, honey, I think we can make some money with this, you know. And it was always the math. If I buy the auto press, then we can probably do an extra, $3,000 or $4,000 a month. That'll make the lease payment, and it'll get us here and bigger accounts. Always justified it, but that gets you in trouble sometimes
Yes.
because sometimes then that doesn't happen, and summertime hits or whatever your off season is, and all of a sudden it's not there. I was always the guy that wanted to kind of go a little too fast.
Okay.
I even told Ryan Moore, Ryan is now the 1,000-pound gorilla, but Ryan started off selling my book and little kits on eBay,
Right.
and so he really started. And I told him as he was growing, be careful.
Right. Don't do as I say, not as I did.
Yeah, because I've been there. I mean, I like to joke. I've made and lost millions, and I'm now on Scott 4.0 upgrade.
Well,
and so
I mean, so if we can look, like, let's dive into it, man, and we can harp on this as much or as little as you want. If you don't have an opinion on it, that's cool too. But let's say you look back and you have your shop and you have your manual press there, and you're getting ready to, you're about to pull the trigger on that auto.
Yeah.
Are you financing it? Are you not getting it unless you can pay cash? Is there any kind of
I'm
best practices?
I mean, I think maybe I'm wrong. I think the average printer probably doesn't have cash laying around. Maybe he has equity in his home, or he can borrow, or maybe he's got his 10 credit cards and he can max them all out.
Yeah.
But I think if you probably have talked to lots of guys that have gone to their first auto. I don't think anybody has any regrets. I think if you talk to guys that have done that, you'll hear them say just the opposite. They should have done it sooner. It was the best thing they did.
Yeah.
Now, maybe some guys who aren't good at marketing, because you get the auto and all of a sudden now your day's over by 10 o'clock.
You're right.
And so all of a sudden you're looking around going, wow, I got this thing, but I don't have orders for it. And so now it becomes, how do you get the bigger accounts that want the bigger numbers? And you're thinking, well, I can't go out and call on the big guys, but now you will be able to, because now you can brag. To me, it's a great brag. We have automatic equipment.
Okay.
And so I don't think there's any regrets there, but most guys I think are leasing them and financing them. I could be wrong.
Okay.
Maybe they're buying their house.
Well, I do think you touched on an interesting point there, in that at the very least you have to have some of the things that you're talking about earlier in place, like your sales funnel, and how you plan to acquire the clients to feed that thing when you get it.
Yeah, definitely so.
Yeah.
But isn't this the auto? You look around, you buy the auto, then you look at your little tiny 6-foot dryer. Of course, that's gone now. That's way too small.
Yeah.
You've got your little exposing unit that was great for a 23 by 30 manual press. Now you have a bigger screen. Everything changes. So it isn't just the auto. Then maybe you need a compressor and a chiller, and you know the drill.
Yeah.
You need all this stuff. And all of a sudden, that auto, that maybe even a starter auto that was 30 grand, you're probably going to have 50 grand in all the other tchotchke stuff you need.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think a lot of guys will buy the auto and then not quite have that idea. They know the auto might bring them the bigger customers, but do they really know how they're going to get those guys?
Yeah, it just seems like, in my personal opinion, they kind of, I can't think of the term for it, but they just don't plan for the what you said, being done by 10, and like 10 that afternoon. They started at 8, they're done at 10, now they have nothing left. And they didn't plan for how they're going to acquire the clients to feed that thing. So, I mean, I guess that's pretty much it.
And who's going to run it? And who's going to run it? You see Mike Chong's post on the Masterminds Facebook group. He can't find operators. And so I think in the beginning, you're going to be the guy running it, and you're going to be the guy maintaining it. So you better have some, I think, mechanical skills, because what are you going to do? You're going to call M&R the minute something breaks, when you have jobs due and then can't get a tech out for 2 weeks. So you're going to be the guy. You better figure out that you're going to be the guy that's probably going to get the wrench out and going to learn to level the pallets and do all the maintenance and all that. And so you end up kind of buying into that. This is a big deal,
right? And
you take ownership of it.
See, that's something, that I've never thought of, because obviously I have not automated, but just that simple fact that in the beginning, you are going to be the operator. So you kind of have to plan for that, right? Because it's hard to bring something in. If you have a guy that's on a manual press but he's never ran an automatic, you can't just throw him on it. It's a lot of responsibility to put on an inexperienced printer. That's cool.
And you should know as an owner operator anyway. I think that way you can train somebody.
Sure.
But it's a big deal. But again, I don't think people have any regrets. I think you talk to anybody who's gone to their first auto, the only regret they might have is buying into maybe a 6-color auto, maybe with a flashback, and thinking, being told, that's all you need, and then they get that job in that's a high-end simulated process that maybe needs 2 whites, and they wish they bought the 8, or they wish they bought the 10. I think if you can finance that $30,000 or $40,000 level, maybe you jump to the $50,000 level and you get the next one 2 more stations.
Right.
And don't buy too small.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's something that most people know that they have to consider. But even when I had talks with pretty much all of the press manufacturers, and they all just do kind of seem to be pushing to just get you into something. So they'll kind of like downplay your need for that extra two colors. So if you are considering buying, right, definitely at least get as much as you possibly can. Like I've heard that with the dryer too. When you're considering automating,
Get big.
get the
big.
biggest
Get
one
wide.
that you can.
Put two shirts side by side. You go from a 24-inch belt or 18-inch belt, one shirt, to a 36-inch belt. At least you can at least, with the sleeves under, put two shirts side by side.
Right.
And yeah, because the dryer is the first thing you outgrow as you grow. You know. So, but having done separations, I mean, I do 1,000 steps a year. And I'll bet a third of my customers 6 color. I mean, so I got to make that whole job work with 6. And I mean, half the time I come back and go, God, if we could just do one more color.
Really?
You know, it'd be killer. You know, we got the blue in the eyes, but I can't afford the blue because that's the only place it is. But so the guy doesn't have blue. I did a thing today where the fish had a little pink in the mouth, and it made him look like a fish. I had no room for the red because it had other spot colors that I had to have. And I just all the time I hear people that are on a manual press going, "Gosh, I wish I could do 7 or 8 colors." It'd be the same way with the auto, I think.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. And in your experience as a separator, because you do it day in and day out, especially with that simulated stuff, it's always 7, right? To pull it off.
It is to pull it off.
Yeah.
I could do 6, but
ideally
there's a compromise
8
somewhere. You know, so 7 is going to be close. 8's great. I have a couple of accounts that I can do 10 or 12 colors. Well, then that's cake for a guy like me.
Oh, it's beautiful,
baby.
huh?
I can do whatever I want.
Because you find with 7 and 8 color seps, even as you're compromising always.
Always a compromise. Got to lower the customer's expectations a little bit. At the end of the day, you know, they're happy to get a shirt, and they got their motorcycle club and the mic on it and the chick on it, you know, and they're happy. And so maybe you couldn't nail one color, you know. But still, if you're going to buy an auto, try and think ahead, because maybe all of a sudden that auto will double your business overnight.
Right.
You know, but it could be larger accounts that are going to want more colors and be more fussy. And it isn't just about the colors; it's about the flash stations, because maybe you're going to get accounts that have quite a few Pantone matches and some spot color, and you have to have a couple of flash air stations, which of course more money, flash Q units.
That's actually very interesting. Because when you bring an automatic in, it doesn't necessarily open you up to the entire world of screen printing, right? Depending on what press you pick. If you pick even a 10 color, you're not necessarily available as a true blue contract printer that can handle all of these big jobs.
You may not want
right?
to. You may not want to be a contract printer. I mean, look at the guys that are contract printing. Those are the guys that kind of come and go and piss and moan, and
that's where I was
not talking bad about them, but you know, they're in the people bringing the shirts, and they're going to print for a quarter or 50 cents or 75 cents or whatever. And
that was what I was going to ask you. I was kind of leading into that idea that if you're becoming an automatic, if you're deciding to go automatic, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're choosing to step into this contract printing world.
Yeah,
right?
No, I don't think it does. Yeah, I agree. I don't think it does. I think you need to look at that as being fill-in work, but not be what you're going to hang your shingle on. Because I think if you look at this industry, the guys that have gone out of business, probably the percentage of the type of printer is the contract printer. He's got his 10 autos and his big factory and the overhead, and he's locked into 2 or 3 key accounts.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he loses an account, and he has infrastructure.
Well, you were around when you probably literally watched it leave America, right? You were in the industry when you watched the contract world here go overseas.
I did, but it was still because I always dealt pretty local. You know, and I think it's easy to think a local guy might go to China, but I think a local guy wants to walk in and talk to his printer and see a proof, and you know, and kind of see some production. And so I didn't feel that much. I saw the equipment change because I was in it when you had Aero multi printers, when you had really flatbed presses that they modified to print T-shirts, when people were going, oh, these T-shirts are kind of cool. Wow. I think we could make our machines work with this. You know, and then now you go and you've got this Sabre from Workhorse, our guys locally here. You've got M&R. Everybody's got their entry level press.
And it's actually it rocks. Even the entry level. Even just the entry-level presses from any of them, and it's all the entry-level presses now are so high-tech. Even the entry-level stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, they all got the touchpad. It used
Yeah.
to be very mechanical. No, I love it. But
Yeah.
I think if you're going to look to buy an auto, just be aware that it's going to cost you more than you think.
Okay.
You may not have the business for it right away. I'd be always the guy thinking I'll have the business for it because I'm always that positive thinker. I can do it. I can make it happen. And then it doesn't happen. So,
and that happens to everyone.
You know, I say do it. I had a guy in my class I did at SGI last week who had been to 4 or 5 classes. He had my book from 20 years ago. He had never still gotten the business. He says, "What piece of advice can you give me, Scott?" I said, "Just do it."
So he's a talker.
Quit
get in there, baby.
About it.
Yeah.
Just do it. So
I love that.
He's probably watching. I won't say his name.
Don't say his name.
Maybe it'll inspire him.
I guarantee you've run into many of those in your time. Yeah, they're all over.
Well, they want to research it to death.
Yeah.
And if you're entrepreneurial, you want to kind of know where things are happening, but you just need to do it. Whereas a lot of guys want to go to the entrepreneur's course, the sales course, take a class from a guy like me, or watch some YouTube videos and really research if they can convince. I shouldn't say this. Convince their wife this is a good deal.
Right.
Quit my day job, make a lot of money, and then they don't ever do it. They just for some reason. So anyway.
I love that, man. Yeah, dude, that's really good. And I don't want to beat this thing to death, but is there anything that maybe I missed, or just some little insights of wisdom for people doing this? Because it is a big step for a small business. The idea of putting $40, $50, $60, $100, $200,000 out, it's a big step. Any last words of wisdom, and we'll move right on. If you can think of any. If not, you got nothing.
Well, I think they underestimate the setup time. Like on a manual press, you and I we could probably have a job set up in 10 or 15 minutes because we're quick, get that screen on. But on an auto, you have all this tchotchke going on and stuff in the flood bar, and you have all this stuff, and then you really can't get into over the screen like you can on a manual. And and I think they need to look at a tri-lock or a pre-registration system. That's going to change how you burn screens. Going to get your systems in place there so you can be on and off a job quickly, because the setup times just kill you on the auto if you aren't really good at being on and off a job.
Right. That's okay. Beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Now, I want to siphon everything you got, dude. I want to make it to where no one even has to go to your website.
No.
But that's my goal. Let's see if I can do it.
I have rent.
So when you had you wrote that book, and I know that you're giving it away for free now, but I guess I just kind of want to know a little bit more about you. Why did you write it? Why?
I sold my business in 1978. I was burnt out. I was actually running 3 shifts, and I was when you run 3 shifts and you're entrepreneurial, you're there all the time.
Yeah.
You're going down at 2 in the morning because something broke, and so I was burnt out, and I thought I'm just going to sell, and I sold it to my biggest customer, who was a wholesaler locally, and they ended up taking the business. And at that time, MASH was the big TV show. I know this dates me a whole lot, but they probably printed 1 million MASH shirts. I mean, they really wanted to bring screen printing in house, and I was their contract printer, and so it was a clean deal. But the minute I sold the business, all these people I was doing printing for were calling, going, "Well, we think we could do that. Can you come and consult us? Can you come train us?" And I realized there was this void. And I was always that kind of guy that wanted to train people. There was no books when I started, so I knew that, well, if I had to then hunt around and learn myself, why not write a book? And so I wrote a book. I took it to the first ISS show. I didn't take it to the first. That was 1978 because the book came out in 79. I went to the second ISS show, took the book. Those guys knew who I was because I sent a news release out to the magazine, Impressions Magazine, who had only been out for a few months.
Nice.
They said, "Well, why don't you come speak?" And I'd always done. I was always, because I was a rock and roller, I wasn't afraid to get in front of people and just talk and do. I had no fear.
I can sense that about you. Yeah, you're a showman, baby.
Wind me up. I have my shy side. If you get me to people I don't know me, I'm a shy side. But give me in front of people I know. I go to the ISS show in 1979, and I walk into the room to give a presentation. There's 500 people, because there was nothing then. There was my book was the only book, and so all of a sudden I realized, I kind of like this. Yeah. This is pretty cool. And for the first 2 years of the ISS show, I was the only speaker on screenprint. I did day-long seminars, and then they I introduced them to Charlie, and everybody else kind of got on board. But in the beginning, it was just me, and the rooms were always 200 or 300 people. It was a ballroom.
So there were no other books on screen printing at that time.
Nothing. I was just at the right place at the right time.
Well, there is a lesson there, though. You were in an industry and you just saw a void. You saw something that had not been tackled yet, and you were able to jump on it.
And I thought if I'd sell a few thousand books here and there, and we end up probably over the years, I bet we sold 200,000 copies
You
when we were
think?
publishing. I mean, we would sell sometimes 10 or 15,000 copies a year, depending on the year. And
Dang.
then I remember at the show coming back going, this is cool. We're going to sell books, but we could do videos. You know?
Yeah.
Because there was nobody doing it. So I was just at the right place at the right time. And I'm a
Right.
good marketer, a good promoter. And,
Right. Well, yeah, I would say not just right place, right time. You also had the things needed to promote something like that in a way, right? Because that is part of taking something to the next level, don't you think? Although you can have a great product, but if you can't be the person to push it and sell it properly, it could still be a total loser. It could just sit there and die.
How many ideas have you heard from somebody where you go, that's a good idea, but they'll never do it?
Yeah, right.
You know, yeah, it's unfortunate. By the way, the first book we printed, I self-published. I went to a local printer humbly,
Uh-huh.
and I said I need to buy 1,000 of these books. How much? He says, oh, $5 or $6. Well, back then that was $5,000 or $6,000,
Yeah.
and I go, can I get credit? I've always told people that sometimes you get credit by just asking for it. Nobody's going to ask for a credit app. It's relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And the printer had faith in this young kid
Wow.
with a vision.
That's crazy.
That's how I first bought shirts. My first shirt order was for 2,000 shirts from a local speed shop, and I happened to know the guy who was doing his printing, and I had built a homemade wooden printer that I was in my house. I had done a couple small runs, and I go into the speed shop, and an artist named Spider, who I had bumped into, had done some little designs for me, a little flyer, and the guy goes, yeah, I'll take 2,000, the speed shop guy, yeah, I'll take 2,000 shirts. I go, I need a deposit. He opened his drawer, and there's a drawer full of cash. I'm thinking, this is how business works?
Yeah.
He peels out cash for me, but it wasn't enough to buy the shirts. So I go to the local dry goods company in Phoenix, and I had bought a few things from those guys, and I very humbly said I have an order for 2,000 shirts, and I need credit. And they were like, no problem, pull your card,
Wow.
you know. And now that wouldn't work today, probably.
No.
You probably go to Alpha Broder, they're going to go, no way.
Right.
But the point of this whole story is I was gutsy enough
Right.
and just hung it out there and humbled myself and was gutsy enough to ask for the credit and get it.
Well, I'm noticing that just about you as your personality, like, and I think that again, the lesson after lesson, but you were not I mean, obviously you had to set time aside and make time, but you didn't like shy away from this. You see these things as ways to create relationships with people and grow, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
any business person needs to kind of, I think, probably think in that way.
You need to.
Yeah.
When I was an active printer, I had the exclusive for the rodeo in Phoenix, and people would always go, well, "How did you get?" Because I vended lots of shirts. I had concession stand. I had the exclusive for the drag strip here. You go out there, there was my shirts everywhere, but people would always go, "Well, how did you do that?" I just asked for it.
Just asked.
I just went out and said, I'm a shirt guy,
Yeah.
and here's what I'll pay you, 15% or whatever, the gross sales. And I'll do shirts for all the staff and for your security guards, but for that, I want the exclusive. In the Carney world, they call that the X, and
Okay.
you want the X. I see people posting on like your Facebook group about how do I do an event?
Yeah.
I love events, but you need to be the only guy there.
Right.
But I was just never afraid to pick up the phone and make the call.
But you were really doing like licensee type of stuff, huh? At that for like Firebird or whatever the drag strip was.
It was actually Beeline. It was before you were born.
Oh, okay.
Probably.
All right.
Beeline Dragway race fans.
Awesome, man. Yeah,
I did Firebird too. I did Firebird because back in the old days, Firebird Raceway was run by the Indians. It still may be. It's on Indian land.
Yeah.
And I went out and I just talked to him, and I ended up meeting the chief. Chief Satyakum was out there.
This is actually.
And I said I would do shirts.
This is a great opportunity to ask you, as a person that has experience with kind of going and knocking on doors and cold calling. How do you get to the decision maker? How do you get to the buyer within a specific thing? Do you know to go through certain levels of separation?
It's hard. I probably never had to go beyond I probably got beyond the receptionist somehow. I always had a free shirt though.
There
you
you
have
go.
to have a free shirt because it's funny. You and I know a shirt costs $1.80, and we put a little ink on it for a quarter. But you give somebody a shirt, and all of a sudden, it's really odd, isn't it, that you give somebody a free shirt, and they're like, holy crap, you gave me a shirt.
It's crazy,
And so
and as printers, we kind of become numb to T-shirts as printers.
you do.
We get into it because we love them, but we kind of the perceived value of them drops in our eyes. But it reminds you, like I do live printing these gigs now, and being there reminds me how much value a free shirt is to somebody. There's immense value in it.
Yeah,
It's the best marketing tool.
I love live printing events. I've done a couple events in Bowling Green with my son where we have our awning, we take out a manual press and a heat press, and people love to see it done. But
They eat it up.
what that gets you is it gets you the guy that has the lawn service and has other businesses. So people always think, well, I'll do a live event. How much will I make at that event? It is not totally about how much you'll do at the event. It's about people that see you and that exposure.
That's good. That's good. And as any small business owner, right? You really are always marketing. Always be marketing. Everything is about putting your name in front of somebody.
When I had a big sales staff with my T-Jet, I would give every new sales guy either a DVD or way back when a VHS of a movie called Boiler Room.
Oh yeah.
It's got Ben Affleck, and in their room, in their sales room, on the wall was a big sign, ABC, always be closing.
Oh yeah.
And so you'll find even a guy like me, if I'm just talking to somebody and we're having a good conversation at a trade show, they don't know that I'm probably working the room. And I'm probably going to slip in a product, and I'm always just slowly closing them by just being a nice guy and being friendly. And so you're right. It's all about always be closing.
You do it instinctually. You do it with instinct. And another guy that really stands out to me that does that is it T-shirt Mark Tom Rowan over there.
Tom is a funny guy.
He's always got his logo in the background.
He's good.
He's good.
Oh, I didn't know Tom came to my school until he posted on his group a picture of the diploma. He came to my class in 2006. I never knew that because I just met Tom in the last couple of years. Thought he was just a kid from Iowa, and I'm from Iowa, so we bonded. But I had no idea that he was one of my students. But he's great. He's my role model for a young guy, eager, out there, and not afraid to hang it out there and make a deal. Look at he's growing, he's buying other businesses, and he's always closing. He's always making that deal, make it happen.
He's slaying it, man. Yeah, and it's just a good example. I think that's really good advice, man. I think a lot of us forget that side of this thing, selling. So,
but some people do it naturally. I do it naturally, always through just talking to people, always kind of work in the room and get them around to finally ask for a sale, because you got to ask for the sales somehow, or just have it be where it's so natural. You've talked to them enough that it's a given they're going to buy. It's like, let's do this. Let's write this thing up. It's anyway.
Perfect.
We can go on and on about that topic.
Yeah, and I love it. That's the value. But you know what? This isn't. Hopefully, this won't be the first time. We'll keep having you come in and we can cover different topics. What is some of the things that when you were first starting out that you feel like maybe you did right in the early days of your screen printing shop, particularly? Anything that stands out?
Being gutsy, being bold, getting the exclusives, making the deal. I was never afraid to do that. So I think I was probably in the beginning not a good printer because there were no books, so I was learning on the fly. 10XX, which would be like a 86 now, but nobody had monofilm now. We bought 10XX, 12XX. That was actually fabric that was designed to sift flour, believe it or not. You probably haven't. But if you look
I'm
at
literally my this is my face right now.
Yeah, I know.
What is 10XX? What is that?
It was fabric. That was the mesh count, and the XX was for the weight. Nobody knew what a 305 mesh was back then. Yeah. It was all ink slapping because nobody had any computers. There was nobody did a halftone dot. Mm-hmm. So it's all changed. So I was just the guy that learned on the fly. Yeah. And was always. But I think the mistakes I made though were probably growing too fast because I can make it happen. I'm that guy that you talk to a lot of business guys who they'll have an idea and you bring up objections. They don't want to hear it. They don't. They want to hear that you're talking. Well, maybe what if this happens? Oh, that'll never happen.
You're
that's
that guy.
About
that's
the
you.
Titanic, right? This ship will never sink.
Right. That's you.
Yeah. So I think the mistakes I made were probably growing too fast. I mean, my U.S. screen went out of business because we did $1 million. We went to $6 million. We went to $11 million. This is every year.
This is the Institute.
Okay. We developed the direct-to-garment, and we were the first guys doing that, and I was the first guy to show an affordable DTG. 2004, it was me and Cornette. We were the only two guys showing direct-to-garment at a trade show.
That you really? I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
So
And I developed the white ink with DuPont. I mean, I remember nobody had white ink, and I always thought we tried to put plastisol on an inkjet cartridge. Well, that didn't work. But I ended up going to DuPont, who I was buying CMYK from, and DuPont's going, we can't make white for DTG. I'm going, why not? You're DuPont. Well, we just can't do that. Well, why not? You guys are the kings of chemistry. No, it'll never happen in your lifetime, Scott. I had a meeting. That's what they told me. It'll never happen. We cannot make inkjet white ink. But then they come back and go, but if we could, if we could do it, how big is that market going to be? I said, well, today it'll be small, but it'll be huge. And 2 weeks later, one of their chemists calls me, he says, there's no budget. They don't want to give me any money for this. He said, but I've been thinking about it. The guy's name is Scott Ellis. He's on the original DuPont patent for the white ink. Scott Ellis calls me and goes, but I've been thinking about it.
That's crazy, dude.
But they got to pre-treat a shirt. Oh crap! They'll never want to pre-treat a shirt. And now that everybody's got pre-treat machines, but he says, but I can make it happen. And I says, when can I have the goop? Because we used to call that Scott time. Wow. I want to have it happen now. I want goop tomorrow. Fed, can you fast me some of this ink so I can try it?
Well, you know what? That's fucking cool. I didn't even know that you were so involved in all that. I'd like to talk about pre-treat. So what is that? What is it with that whole thing? Why is it so necessary? This is great, bro.
The ink will sink into the garment. So this guy, Scott, had figured out that because DuPont is the king of chemistry, that they understood about coatings that would then block something. And so he developed this pre-treat, which is salt and pepper, I say loosely. But he developed it so that the ink doesn't soak in. And he knew that he could make it work. And it did. I mean, he sent us out pre-treat. He sent us out white ink. We sprayed the shirt with a spray bottle. And we printed on it. And the white was okay, not great. But we're like, holy crap. And so the whole thing. But the pre-treat, those of you that are watching that have DTG now, you know you're going to pay $40 a gallon, $50, $60 a gallon or more for pre-treat. When I was selling DTG and buying from DuPont, they licensed me to make my own pre-treat. They didn't want to ship 55-gallon drums of water from Wilmington to Phoenix, Arizona. So we were paying $2 a gallon in a licensing fee, and the material cost was $1.
So you had $3 in, huh?
Yeah, $3. I thought that's the business to be in.
Yeah.
You buy eye drops for $12 for the little thing, and you go, what the hell is in this thing? The packaging probably costs. Well, the pre-treat was that way. I'm telling you, pre-treat is nothing. It's a couple magical chemicals that people use in pre-treating textiles, but the cost was that.
Wow, that's amazing, man. That's cool. I had no idea.
DTG?
Huh? No. I've looked at it and I'm like always like, nah, I'm good. But I know that there are people that are starting to say it's working now, right? Like it's starting to work out.
I think I'm very pro still, but there's the good news and bad news. Some guys should never own a DTG machine that don't want to do maintenance. We used to get customers that would say, maintain the machine thoroughly, it's clean, and it's not working right. We'll send it in, we'll take a look at it, and we get it in. The capping station is just gunk with ink and just crap everywhere.
Loaded with dust. Probably in the driest environment ever.
Sure.
Phoenix.
In Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of the reason I just don't have the facilities to even consider, at this moment. So, but I'm very intrigued by it. What do you think about DTG in the future, specifically like with what Kornit is doing and all of these? To me, it's very promising.
I thought naively, because of my entrepreneurial spirit, I thought in 2004 when I brought out my first machine, and everybody's looking and going, holy crap, this is it. After that show in 2004, Mark from Vastex called me, Dan from Workhorse called me. Oh, what's going to happen to us? These equipment guys were freaking out, and I'm going, well, I think you're dead. This is 2004. I'm going to kill you guys. I'm going to eat your lunch.
Someone's cocky.
Is dead.
Yeah.
Screenprinting is dead. And so that didn't happen, obviously, because what happened was people would buy DTG, and then somebody would come in and want 500 shirts because, this business sucks you in, and you do a few dozen, and next thing you know, you're getting people that want real shirts.
Right.
And so all these guys that bought early DTG from me bought screenprint gear from Vastex and Workhorse, and so it didn't kill it. But I always felt that if you could marry the two, called a hybrid, where you could screen print the underbase, well, now that's all being done, and we were working on that when the company closed. I mean, I like to say mistakes were made. My company went out of business. The truth is the economy crashed in 2008, and we were not financially strong enough because we leased most of our machines. And if you recall, October 2008, you couldn't borrow money from anybody.
Nope.
And we just weren't strong enough.
Yeah, in 2008, if you didn't own it, you were probably not going to make it.
you were screwed.
Yeah.
And so but I always thought that if you could marry the two, well, now you've got M&R with their digital squeegee, and I just got back from SGIA, and a guy named Johnny Shell at SGIA is their technical services guy, and he had been in China, and there's a guy named Mark Gervais who was in China running a lot of the big factories, and he said they're all going to hybrid.
They are.
Where they have these 50 station ovals, and you go, why 50 stations? Because they're flashing every color. They're doing water-based ink, and you've seen pictures of them on there. They're just huge, gigantic. Yeah. They're getting rid of all those, and there's probably 500 hybrid presses in China, and I see that here. I have a customer in Indiana. I should toss him out because I think I won't say his name. Small printer, got an automatic press, small printer. He bought a $300,000 digital squeegee from M&R because he felt there was a market there where he could satisfy his 72-piece customers, 36-piece customers. Here's a small guy spending $300,000 on a hybrid.
Because he's just so confident in it, yeah.
And I tell you what, I think that eventually they'll be, because you got to screen. The reason, by the way, the hybrids are so sexy is the white ink is so expensive for digital that the white ink is just the white you're going to screen print is going to cost you that 20 cents or a quarter whereas the white ink on a regular digital print might cost you $2 or $3.
Well, on those digital squeegees, when you're screen printing the white underbase, does it still require some kind of pre-treat? I mean, do you have to do some kind of gel?
No, there's no pre-treat. Most guys are doing a couple of whites, so they'll print a white, flash it, print a white. Like if you saw it at ISS, Ryan Ed had that big, huge rock in the back there that was a huge press with digital, but it was screen printing. Well, they were actually inkjetting. The M&R was screen printing. Usually it's a white flash, white flash,
right.
And it's not plastisol. It's a regular plastisol or water-based that inkjet ink will stick to.
Okay.
That was the problem we encountered when we were trying to do it years ago. Was that inkjet ink doesn't want to stick to plastisol. But I think it's real trendy. I think you're going to see it. It was a guy at the ISS show in Long Beach, a guy named Chi Chu from Malaysia, who I've known for years because I've been down there. He took me the tour. He had a machine for $40,000 that would roll up to an automatic press, and you screen print the ink, and he had the white ink, and then it goes around and it inkjet the colors. And here's a guy that's down to 40 grand. Guys like that. Now, Chi's a nice guy, but he's from Malaysia, so nobody's going to buy from Malaysia. But I think you're going to see the manufacturers in this country going, well, there's a market there.
And the cost will start dropping a little bit. So you think it may drop from $300,000 to maybe just a single $600,000 or maybe 80 or something like that? Could.
I think it will. I think it will. And then
Awesome.
the smaller guy will go, wow. I mean, the real small guy with the manual press, he's going to go, I can't afford that.
Right.
But as look at the iMage, the direct to screen now, computer to screen. That's the sexy, trendiest, and
Awesome.
M&R has sold I don't know how many thousands of those machines.
Yeah.
And it's at $80,000. But you think of the film savings, and you think of the cost of look at guys doing 100 screens a day, and maybe they're all 6-color jobs. That's a lot of film.
Yeah.
And
being able to call it, like once you load it into their RIP, it's like always there. It's loaded up. You can easily reprint it. It's so cool. Very cool.
So I think the same thing will happen in the DTG. You're going to see those prices drop down, hopefully in my lifetime, because I thought I was going to kill it in 2004, and now we are in 2019, and we're still thinking maybe it'll kill screen printing.
Yeah, I would say it's probably, I mean, they're going to go hand in hand, but it does seem like maybe screen printing will be kind of more of that artisan thing, but the majority of multicolor stuff will be screen printed white with the digital squeegee. It's where
then
it's
I'm out of a job as a separator.
Well, Amazon, I know, I when I first started this live show, basically every show was me coming in here and screaming the sky is falling about how Amazon is opening these big DTG things. And they did, though. They've equipped a full merch printing system, man, so...
It's just gigantic. I heard that they bought 100 Cornettes. I'm not sure if that's a real number or not.
They retrofitted an entire warehouse out there. I can't remember what city it was, but someone could tell us in the chat. But it was huge.
It's gigantic.
Yeah.
It's gigantic. And I think that the local guy, though, still worries about that. But I think if you're a local printer, you have your local customers that are not going to go to Amazon merch. I think that people do think the sky's falling sometimes on that stuff. But I've always been a guy that, you've got your local customers, your local, group that won't go there. Maybe they'll see Custom Ink's ad on the news, on the TV, and then they'll go to Custom Ink and try them and find out that the grass isn't any greener. The prices are probably higher.
Right. I think that there's absolutely – I don't think that the local printer will ever die, just because it has become apparently clear to me that especially people that are inexperienced with printing, they just want to sit down and talk. They want to interact. But I do think that as small printers, you're going to have to focus more on that aspect. It's going to have to become a priority for
it's
you.
relationships and people feel comfortable. They're going to come in and order more shirts, or they're just going to call you up on the phone and say, "I need another 100."
Right.
You know.
That's what I think.
By the way, Tom Rowan has done a thing. I don't know if you're doing any web stores, but Tom had done a talk I was at where he's talking about converting even his regular, like his yard guys, to their own web store where they don't have to even call. They can just go online to the web store and order another 100 shirts. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, that's what I have. I built something very similar for my shop, but what I have is client accounts, and they can log in. And they can just duplicate previous orders and do just basically the same thing, but without a storefront. But it changes everything, because a lot of the times I'll go away for the weekend and I'll come back in on Monday and 6 different clients have just popped an 100-piece order through, and I'm like,
I love that. I call that Delta money. Although you have to print the shirts, but for me, like when I sell software and I wake up in the morning and I see I've sold a few software packages, that's money I made while I sleep.
That's free. Yeah, that's free money. Because the time spent with clients it takes a lot out of you. So, man. Well, that was awesome. I want to kind of try to keep moving forward. I know that your time is precious, and we've already gone for an hour, and you've been a real damn trooper. Hey guys, by the way, in the chat, let's go ahead and have you start submitting your questions for him while I wrap up my questions with him. And just remember to type @ThePrintLife followed by your question, and I will ask him.
I have band practice in an hour, so...
okay, we're going to blast through this.
We're good.
Hey, your band can go to... No, I'm just kidding. What is the name of your band, by the way?
I hate to say.
Come on now.
All right, I'm going to say, and you'll be the first to know this because I kept this under wraps. But
exclusive.
It's a Pink Floyd tribute band.
Okay.
And that's because I played my share of bar gigs, and I decided as I'm getting older, I wanted to do either something special or I'm not going to play. Because the last band was a bunch of us high school guys that got back together again just in the last 10 years. But then my friend, the drummer, died, and I wasn't going to play anymore. I met my wife playing in a bar 52 years ago. And when I had my recording studio, I recorded local guys like Vince Fournier, and Vince Fournier now became Alice Cooper. Yeah. And so I knew all those guys because I'm from that era in the 60s in Phoenix, Arizona. My band is Shine On Floyd.
Shine On Floyd. It's good. Okay.
Shine On Floyd.
Okay.
And there's a website. There's nothing there. So anybody that goes there and goes, well, Scott has nothing there. Well, we got to do the band picture next week, and we're going to do some recording. But it's shineonfloyd.pink.
Okay. Shineonfloyd.pink. I love it. That's perfect.
Check it out. So I wasn't going to say that, but I thought, what the hell?
That's it, man. It's out there. Now, anyone that's in Phoenix that wants to come see a printer, play some music, they can do it. Shineonfloyd.pink. I love it, man. I guess I do want to – I got a few more questions here I want to ask you this. And I think that I ask these kind of questions partially to get your experience with it, but also just to keep people maybe motivated. So one of the questions I have and I want to ask everyone is, why do you think business is so tough, and why does one shop make it and the other one doesn't?
All right. You sent me a couple of things to think about, and I have this –
it's more of a philosophical question in my mind, you know?
This will come off probably wrong.
That's okay.
Some people are destined not to be in business. Where it's, let's start a business, Mom. This is going to be real great. We're going to print some shirts. But they come from a background of not understanding business, so they have attitude. To me, it kills me when I get an email back from somebody, and the bottom of the email, below their name, it says, no rushes, blah, blah, no this, no that, no this, no that, no that, die. It kills me. I'm not that guy that's going to say, I'm not going to do it, or no, I can't change the ink, or you came in and you wanted to. I see even on some of your group, on people post, some yin yang came in and wanted just 2 shirts,
Right.
That guy could be a potential customer down the road for thousands of shirts. He knows people, and it just
I would like
me.
to chime in there too. Some of my absolute best clients, actually some of my repeat clients that print, they were the ones that I actually went out of my way to help on a small order.
Yeah.
Because those are your opportunities to prove yourself to these people.
They are. So I think some printers have attitude. The customer is the enemy.
Beautiful.
And the customer's not the enemy, but they have that attitude. The guy came at 5:05 to pick up his order. I close at 5.
God
Well,
damn it.
so what?
I wish
You
that I
know?
could put a banner scrolling across your screen right now that says, "The customer is not the enemy."
It's not the
Those are
enemy.
words to live by, dude.
But people think that. To me, that's so wrong. But I think that's why some guys fail, because it's a fight. Every day is drama. You know, drama, and you just need to. I think you can see behind me. Can you read my sign? No sniveling.
Let me zoom in here. Hang on. Yep, no sniveling. No sniveling. For goddamn
I had that in the
crybabies.
back of my classroom for years. That was on the front of my car for years, and no sniveling. Get over it. So you're short 2 shirts on the order. Deal with it. You know, but
Deal with
people
it.
sometimes want to make drama. They hate the business because of that's just life. It's just business. You know, move on, make it happen, make it work. So I hate it when people have attitude and they think the customer's the bad guy. He's not. And you're right. That small guy today that you worked with the artwork a little bit and did a little extra time on, he's going to remember that. That's that relationship building, you know.
I mean, words to live by. I feel like we can leave this interview on that note, man. That was beautiful. Words to live by. The customer is not the enemy. So just to reiterate, guys, and you know what? I see it in the groups a lot too. And also I want to say something else that I learned when I was selling cars, in that the walls have ears, especially on social media. If you go in and you start slamming a customer, even if it's in a private group on Facebook, these things get back to your customers, guys. I'm telling you.
The trolls.
Yeah, the trolls in these groups will literally screenshot your shit, go find that customer, and share it to them. So I mean, this is just a warning, but be careful on these complaining about clients. I also had a couple of bad experiences early on where I had to understand. I had to learn some responsibility with the information I put out when I started YouTube and this and that. I'm not going to go into it, but these groups have ears, so be careful when you start slamming these clients online, man. It's going to get back to them. Very important.
Oh, I agree. I would never do that.
No.
It's a new world. So I don't know how you, because people are going to see that.
But dude, like I go in these Facebook groups and I stay out of them now because they're so volatile for the most part, but because of the trolls, really. But dude, like, come on, you got to chill. I think let's leave it on that, man. The customer is not the enemy.
Yeah,
that's
how I feel about it.
Thank you so much for that, man. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there. So before we let you do all the plugs things, I got some questions coming in from people in the chat. And I'm going to try to start at the top to make sure I don't miss anything. Is that your ink stirring shirt? Okay, well, this isn't going to work. Well, Chronic Designs wants to let you and me know that this interview, we're killing it. So
good.
Cheers to you. Cheers to me. We can have a beer for that one. Chronic Designs is also asking, how do they get a copy of that book, the infamous book?
They have to go to t-biznetwork.com. T-biznetwork. That's my website. And there's a little ads on the top, and they'll just see free how to print book. If they click on that, it takes them to my store, and all they have to use is a coupon code. I think it's HTP, how to print free, or it's free HTP, but it tells them that. And all they have to do is order it online. Now, here's the deal. They have to order it. I'm going to give it to them for free. But why do they have to order it? Fresh meat.
They got to get into your fresh meat list.
Now they're in my database. It's the price of doing business.
There you
so
go.
I'm going to give them my book, but now they're going to be on my list.
And guys, I'll put the links to all of these things in the description at the end of this video. So I'll have all your links there as well.
Okay, right.
This is an interesting one, dude. This is from Cheryl Brown. Favorite, I'll answer this too, and I'll chime in if it's something you don't feel like dealing with. But Cheryl Brown asks, favorite or best puff ink? Now, I'm going to go first real quick because my opinion, it's whatever brand you use, just get their puff additive. They all have them.
Yeah, I have no favorite because I don't print anymore, and I'm in shops, but I see Union and Wilflex, and I remember when there wasn't puff ink, and I remember my friend Richard Lvov, who was the owner of Union Ink. He passed away. He was my mentor. He was a Jewish guy. I'm the Gentile guy, and I always joke I was the Gentile from Iowa. He was the Jew from New York, and we were tight. And I say that very endearingly, but he called me and says, "Hey, we have this ink that'll kind of puff up." What do you mean ink that'll puff up? We're gonna call it puff ink.
Love it. Yeah. Dang, you've seen it all. You've seen this stuff come in, man. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, I really have. I remember Richard, my buddy, again calling me saying, "Hey, we've made a reducer that's called a balance reducer that's got resin and plasticizer. Because before that, you use plasticizer and you could screw up your ink if you had too much."
Yeah.
He calls me one day and says, "Hey, I got this stuff." He called me one day and says, "Hey, we made these transfers called hot peel. We think we peeled the paper off too early in screwing with the ink, and it peeled in half, and we're going to sell this as a hot peel." I mean,
So that was an accident. Hot peeling was an accident.
Accident. There was a fluke. Then one of them in their lab. He said, "But we think we got something here." You know. Anyway, that's why I love the guy, because he was always inventive. Always hired young guys to be in his lab. So I'm sorry for digressing.
No, I love that, brother. That's awesome. I can't believe hot peel was a happy accident.
It was like the Post-it note. I think was an accident, but the hot peel was definitely an accident.
Cheryl Brown. What's the software where clients can place their orders? Is it? Cheryl Brown, this is an opportunity for me to plug something that is still not done, but it's getting very, very close. What's the software where clients can place their orders? Is there a price? So there's a couple of them. I think Printavo is offering one, Inksoft is offering one, and then I am building a system where your clients have actual accounts and they can go in and duplicate previous orders. Said it would be done last September. Still not completely done, but we're bringing beta testers on now. Should be available shortly.
Yeah, and we talked before we did the show that I said that I was always the guy that had the product before I actually had the product. Right. I had the packaging, the name, the look, the logo. I'd run ads before the product ever existed. You did the same thing.
Exactly.
You got beat up a little bit, but I get it. I get it. And listen, kudos to you for seeing a void there in the market that maybe the other guys weren't addressing. And so it just takes longer than you think to develop software.
I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, it's all good. I haven't really caught too much flack for it, but I know that I've beat myself up personally for just putting it out there so soon, right? Yeah. I kind of wish that I had kept a lid on it a little bit longer, but it'll be fine. It'll be good.
It'll be great. It'll be great.
This is from Chronic Designs. He's asking you, what tips do you have for us small guys who work from home that can't afford the big equipment to maybe help to make the process of manually printing easier? Anything you can think of?
It's a tough one. I'm a big fan, and if they've already got the gear, it won't help. I'm a big fan of all heads down presses.
Yes.
All heads down. People think, well, all heads down, that means you have 6 people print. No. You can have more than one person print, though. My son back in Bowling Green has a Vastex V whatever. They're heavy duty, 6/6. Yeah. All heads down. Heavy press, great press. And we were able to do on a job that we did back there, white ink only, but do a flash print. We were up to doing 300 shirts an hour, just 2 guys.
2 white screens. Two whites,
because we had 2 identical screens, and so both of us could print. So one would print, rotate, it's flashing, and when it comes around, then the second person's printing. So we're printing, printing, and I'm a big fan of all heads down presses. Now, the manufacturers don't always push that. They go, oh, why do you need that? I'm telling you what, we have done more stuff all heads down where you have 2 or 3 people printing or just 2 people printing, and it really speeds things up. But these guys may already have their presses, so it may be too late. So it's just get off and on setup times quicker. Sometimes I had somebody on one, maybe it was on your group that said you took him 3 or 4 hours to set a job up, and to me it's like, wow. Are you kidding me? Maybe he was using vellum, and maybe it was all not lining up on the films. But you got to get that pre-press kind of down and nailed down.
You do. I completely agree. In my opinion, and I'm just experimenting with this now. I'm using the Newton meters to check our static frames and make sure that we at least have tensions above 15. And you will see that those static frames drop below 15. And if you're dealing with that, you're going to have all kinds of registration issues. So keep an eye on your mesh tensions. It does help, even with just registering jobs. What else can I give? I think you nailed it. All heads down, man. We do it here. That's how we speed through big jobs.
You can get. I'm telling you what. Once you figure out how we're going to do it, we're going to put a person here. Flash unit here. You have to kind of think it through and think how you set the whole thing up. The other thing, by the way, when I travel and do consulting, usually I'll go into a shop where I go in to maybe increase production, and usually I'll find that everything's so thick. They're on low mesh counts, thick ink, and I go, well, have you tried reducing your ink a little bit? It's like, duh, we were told we couldn't do that. I'm going, well, here, I got my flask reducer with me. Let's try some of this. And just by simply reducing ink a little bit, it's smoother, it's easier on yourself, less pickup on the bottom of screens by simply getting your ink to flow, getting it just a little more reduced. People don't do that in a lot of shops, so.
Yeah, and I'm going to elaborate on that. I saw, and this is not something that we don't deal with it in Phoenix, but I know a lot of colder climates where you need to get your inks up to a working temp. I mean, Phoenix, we're fortunate in that aspect. Our inks are always they're on the verge of curing at any moment. But we have working temps, but in colder climates, get your inks up to working temp. That's a good one. I love it, dude. Thank you for answering that. What else we got here from Cheryl? Thanks for answering the question. Liberty Graphics and Designs at Cam, I came up with a washout booth. I don't have any money for the patent. What's the best way to put it on the market without having some big guys steal it from you? I think, Scott, you could probably dive in on this and give him some advice.
It's hard because, see, I'm the guy that would, some people are so afraid to let their idea get out because somebody's going to steal it.
Yeah.
Well, then screw it. What good's the idea? You know, you're not going to do anything with it. And so you just have to just do it. The problem is going to be somebody might then, you know, come and do it. You could actually, I'm just thinking out loud because I've had a number of patents and I've done a number of provisional patents where you pay the attorney the $1,500 and they file it. At least you have a provisional.
Yeah.
So they probably can't afford that. And I get that. I've been there. I've been broken rich many times, so I understand. But I think they can't be afraid to put it out.
Yeah.
If they absolutely can't patent it, and maybe it's not patentable anyway, who knows? But if they can't patent it, then don't be afraid to at least get it out there.
Love it.
The problem's going to be you get it out there, and then all of a sudden, hopefully you're selling direct, so you're going to see immediate money because next thing you know, a dealer is going to want to buy them from you,
right.
and he's going to want terms, and all of a sudden you're out of money.
Terms.
So that becomes the issue.
So they'll force you to give them equipment on terms in most dealers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I have an attitude with even my software, no terms. Everybody's got a credit card.
Yeah, software is beautiful for that reason because it's not a big enough thing where it's like it's got to go on terms. That's good to know.
Yeah,
I think those are good, guys. I think he's absolutely right. I've noticed it. It's so common, especially with screen printers. I think because most screen printers are creative people, and this is the business they get into. But they're like they're just terrified with like people stealing their shit. Everything from even I've seen people even stress out about telling me their business name because they haven't started it yet because they think someone cares about the damn name of their business.
I know.
So I think just lighten up.
I probably lean to the just do it side, and then there's the conservative side. I probably should have been more conservative in some of my decisions, but I'm the guy that just says just do it, see what happens,
just run with it, baby.
And if somebody does knock you off, then make it better. No sniveling. Get over it. Move on. I shouldn't be so flip, and I'm sorry for the person that asked the question if they think I'm being too flip.
No, they love it, bro. Most of the people in here like you to keep it real, so it's all good. Yeah. I do think he's right, guys. You just get it out there. If you have something you can do, you hear it all the time. Like even in the software world, people say just get the product out, and then you'll figure out how to fulfill it, or you won't. And either way, if you didn't, you wouldn't have anyway. Because no one's going to come to you and say, hey, dude, here, by the way, that's pretty cool. Here's $500,000 for you to produce it. It's just not going to go that way.
No, you can't think that way.
Yeah, it's just not going to.
Not gonna happen.
So Liberty, I'd like to see what you do, man, and maybe we'll be your first customer. Let's see what it looks like. And maybe there's some people in here that will be early customers of your washout booth. So get it out there. I can't wait to see it. Chronic Designs. I'm looking, guys. I want to make sure I don't miss any good questions. Cam, where's the I took it out. They want to know where my boobs picture is that was in the background. Took it out. I'm bringing more professional industry people in here from time to time. I got to be a little respectful around here.
You got Profit First behind you and Running Lean behind you. So you're looking really good with your books.
That's right. Got to keep it. Yeah, you like that? That's staging right there, you guys. You can learn something.
Yeah. That's mine behind me. I got my book over here and I got my awards and I tried to fit everything into one little small spot.
I'm trying to look educated. This is my way to look smart. Put some books back there. Have I read any of them? Let me see. I just want to make sure. Don't be scared. Cam, what's the software do you use to pay out your employees? I see. Okay. So the software I'm using is it's something called Gusto, which is it's just incredibly priced. It's for payroll. Look into Gusto if you're trying to pay your people out. Dude, they take care of all of it. All of the old ideas of how complicated it used to be in business, that shit's a thing of the past, man.
It's gone. It's all now online.
Because payroll used to be a nightmare.
Oh,
and now it's like, dude, you need so few people to do anything. Look into Gusto. It'll get you sorted out. That's it's interesting, right? Like being in business today is so much easier than it ever was. At any point in time.
It's way simpler because people are used to, I say, pissing away $10 a month for a service or $20 a month for service or $100. It's very trendy and it's easy. I mean, in the old days we had a payroll clerk and we had a collection guy and we had all these employees for the infrastructure. Now you can be a one-man band.
Yeah, man. There's another service too. I'm gonna plug some services out there. There's another one called Mazuma. They're new, but they handle cash-based accounting if you're not doing accrual. and it's cash and you're okay running that way. And if you're small, that's no problem for you. Dude, they'll do all your bookkeeping, all your stuff, and it's literally like $30 a month. And they'll do the.
It's nothing. It's nothing.
It's crazy. Yeah. The world is awesome.
It's dinner out. You know, it's one. You know, if you look at it that way, it's nothing.
I do want to make a little note, and you probably see this a lot because you deal with a lot of people entering into this world too, right?
I do still, yeah.
And you're a bootstrapper inherently. You know how to make. You rub two sticks together and make $1 million or whatever. But when you're a bootstrapper, I notice a lot of people are like terrified to buy anything. And I did this too early on, like where I was like, I was penny pinching $10. Like I would rather drive half the day to deliver shirts to my client than like pay a courier to do it, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything with these early people and how they're just penny pinching everything? Like they're terrified. I don't know.
Just stop doing it.
Chill. Yeah.
Just your time is worth something, I think, you know, and so just. I don't know, just me. I was always the guy that would use a service, use a courier, not have to be the guy to go out. And so, but I see it. I think my son Michael, and he hope he's not watching this, but I think he's that way a little bit. He because he's always a little tight for money. He's always wanting to save it here and there and do this as opposed to maybe farming it out or paying somebody. That's why people pay me for separations, because I charge $75, but
that's really good.
Either they're going to sit there if they do 3 or 4 simulated process jobs a year, then they don't have any the real memory of the last job they did. So they're going to sit there for 2 or 3 hours or half a day in Photoshop trying to figure it out. That's okay, but you look at what guys like me charge to do it. It's nothing. I always joke with the new guys. So just you piss away $75 with me, and I'll send you a set of steps at work. Yeah. And you can move on and not worry about that as part of the job.
And I think that's it. There's so much value in just that peace of mind, man, especially when you're new, when you're wearing so many hats that it seems like, but it's not. You're actually buying peace of mind, too, that you can just move on to the next task that you have to deal with. So let's stop penny pinching.
But an entrepreneur always wants to do it himself.
They do.
I think that's the disease.
Yeah, there's a disease, too. And I think in the very early stages, it's almost like you have to blunt force trauma your way through that. Like, you've got to drive yourself crazy. But I just see it so much, and I see everyone like, oh, well, it's $10. Like, I'm not – it's like, dude, it's only $10, bro. Or when you see a new piece of equipment that's $1,500 and it can change – it can make a portion of your life – that's not a lot of money.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or getting a functioning flash from a reputable company, and it's worth it. It's worth it. So let's not penny pinch so hard all the time, right?
You know, we talked about going to automatics and as people grow, but that's the big break from an entrepreneur has to decide, I'm going to have people do this. I'm going to either delegate or use services, and that'll take you to the next level. But sometimes I think an entrepreneur stays at one level. Yeah. We talked about guys that don't really make it. That's because that's the level they stay at forever, do it themselves, afraid to piss away a little money here and there. And I think it's a big difference between the guy that grows and the guy that does his $200,000 a year. Right. Which is fine. Maybe the guy's working a day job doing $50,000 a year, and he's happy with that. Then that's okay. Right. But you'll never get to the next level as long as you kind of pinch those pennies everywhere.
Love it, man. That's beautiful. Anything else we got? New screen printing. Want to start printing for the I mean, I'll give you this one. This is going to be the last question, guys. So this is from Scott McLean. New to screen printing. Want to start printing for money on the side besides my actual day job. What advice do you got, Scott?
Just do it.
Beautiful. It's the question as old as time.
Okay, I have no money. Okay, you go to Craigslist. You look at guys that have bought gear, and now they decide it wasn't for them six months later. And so you find a guy that's going to sell his gear. You go to Craigslist. You go to Ryanair or whatever. You buy a starter kit. Oh, it's a piece of crap. You know, they print shirts. You can print shirts with a handheld screen. So the people that are afraid that they have to get that Hopkins press or whatever, you know.
That initial investment. I would like to elaborate on that. So never in the history of ever could you start a business for, I mean, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. You can do that today. It's not a lot of money to put $5,000-$10,000 into some starter equipment and start a business.
Yeah.
So get the cash together, even if you're working a day job and you have to squirrel it away in savings, buy the equipment, and go for it.
See, the back of my book has plans for a wooden. It's a wooden printer that you can build for $100.
There you go.
It's a 4-color printer. I've had literally thousands and thousands of people tell me, I bought your book, I built the printer, it got me in the business. Yeah. Got me going.
That's what I did.
Then of course they buy a press. You know. And so but you got to get going somehow, whether it be holding a screen, 2 hinges. I mean, you got to do it, I think.
So in your mind, so maybe don't put that tin in at first. Get you
If you don't have it, then you
put together the cheapest situation you can to see if screen printing is for you, because a lot of people will get out of it. Yeah. But then once you decide it's for you, go all in, baby.
Then go all in. And if you can't afford new, go to Craigslist or go to eBay, or I mean, there's all kinds of used stuff out there. People jump in this business and get out of it because it's just too messy, too dirty. You know, they don't have the art skills. You know.
Yeah, and Eric's chiming in here. I gotta get Cam. Didn't you buy and push the Chinese flash too? I bought it. I bought it. I did a video on it. I did not push it. I bought it, put a video on it, and y'all went ape shit, dude. I wish I had profit sharing in that thing, man. But yeah, I think but even with the Chinese flash, it's another great example. People were like, "Oh, should I buy this flash? It's $500, dude." I spend that much every trip to the supply house. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's a $500 flash. You have nothing to lose in buying it and testing it out. That was the point of that video, and that's the point of all this stuff. And that's the point of me even interviewing or bringing this whole thing up. Is it's like, it's not a lot. Just buy it and see if it works for you, because it might. It really might. Or it might suck. Mine was a fucking lemon. If I had waited 2 more months with my flash unit, I would have done a video about, hey, this thing broke.
Right.
So, you know, those are some of the things I had to learn responsibility with the information I put out as somebody that's in this whole thing, you know.
Because you're an influencer now.
Right. So you have to learn. You have to learn these things. Like now, I won't review any of my new equipment until I put real time in with it, so that I can be objective. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love it, guys. Thank you so much for all your questions. And dude, just again, Scott, I appreciate your time. I know it's valuable. I want to get all your plugs, all your websites, and then of course I'll link them in the description, and we'll get you out of here.
Okay, the main website is my T-Biz network, so it's t-biz, B-I-Z, network.com. That has, of course, links to my products, but it has probably 100 articles on Corel and Photoshop and on the business stuff we've talked about here, and they're all there for free, and so there's a ton of articles there. My YouTube channel is youtube.com/tbiz network without the dash, just tbiznetwork.com. Tbiz network. I probably have 200 videos on every topic, and you, I don't know how many you've got. I mean, I probably have a low count of views. I think I have 600,000 or 700,000 views over the years.
That's good. That's really good.
Some of them have 20,000. Some of them have 200. You know how that goes with YouTube. And
well, within the screen printing industry, those are very valuable views. It's not like our views are different than the YouTube community, right? Like, even if a video has 100 views, those are 100 screen printers that have seen that video.
Yeah, not like, and nobody's getting rich on YouTube. I think we all have them monetized. I haven't seen a dime yet from YouTube on any of my videos because there's just not enough views.
No.
I have online courses, which is T-shirt.
So many T-dot somethings.
Yeah, T-shirt printing, man. T-shirt master. It's my master classes. Here, I'll have to look it up. I'm sorry.
So you have a master class going as well?
Have a what?
You have a master class going?
I have an online course. I have a class with my son, which is printersbootcamp.com.
Wow.
Oh, here we go. I'm sorry. I was having a brain fart. Pardon me.
All right.
My online courses is T-shirt printing master classes, t-shirt printing masterclasses.com.
Okay.
I have a class Illustrator, which is like $75 class on high-end separations, 65 videos. $145 you get me for 65 videos, but it teaches you everything on how to separate for simulated index CMYK. I've got a screen print course there that's $95, but people like that. I've actually done pretty well with those because people like not having to search around YouTube and find videos and then not know where they saw it. So they like going back. My course will track you. It'll tell you how much percentage you've done. When you're done, you get a diploma. Blah blah blah. So check that out.
Beautiful.
My son is doing hands-on classes in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Printersbootcamp.com. He does a class every 6 weeks. He has a brick and mortar store with a complete training center in the back, and it's in a real working shop, which I think a lot of guys appreciate, that they can actually see what jobs are queued up and staged up that they can't do because there's a class going on.
Right.
But it's a real working shop, and that's been real successful too.
Okay.
And then I got my T-Seps, t-seps.com, which is my software, automated, push a button, does separations for you. And then my separation service is 24hourseps.com. and basically you send me a piece of crap JPEG, and I'll try and do magic with it and
All right.
make you look good. So
So
anyway, that's all my stuff.
Beautiful, man. And I'm gonna as soon as this is over, I'll get all your links, and all those links to all of his services will be in the description of this video. So make sure you hit him up, and of course, just go follow his YouTube channel, watch his videos to thank him for giving us the time and his information, man. And I really appreciate it, brother. I look forward to doing it again.
My pleasure. I'm gonna come down because you're just down. Because you're down the road from me.
Yeah.
I'll come down. We'll come down. I'll do it late, and we'll go down to the Van Buren. Like I said earlier, we'll go catch a young indie band at the Van Buren, which is a real trendy new venue in downtown Phoenix.
That's what we'll do, man. That sounds like a deal.
And we'll smoke cigars. Do you smoke cigars?
No, I quit all tobacco. It's been brutal. Maybe I can make an exception, man.
All right, we'll bring a couple sticks when they come down.
All right,
it's been a pleasure, by the way. I thank you for asking me to come on.
Of course, man. Thank you so much, Scott. And Print Fam, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments. I'm sure Scott will gladly chime in and answer them if he pops in from time to time. Also, you guys, at the end of this, make sure you go into the comments and just leave something. Print Fam was here. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Cam. Whatever. We need the comments. Make sure to absolutely hit the like button. This is something I've been forgetting, but go in there, hit the like button. All of this stuff helps us with the Google algorithm. So basically, you watched it. We came in here. We talked to you. You pay us back by liking, commenting. Other than that, thank you so much for hanging with us, Print Fam. We will talk to you next Wednesday, 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Arizona time. Peace out.